What up, my road dogs? We are doing the topic 7 quiz review. Show all work. This is your Pythagorean theorem. A is your short side, B is your medium length side, C is your longest side. Your longest side always has to be C, but you can actually technically switch these around. A could be the medium side and B could be the short side. It won't change the math of the answer. Just make sure that C is always your longest side. Okay. Now, the easiest way to find your longest side, your hypotenuse, okay, is to find your right angle on your triangle and then draw an arrow away from it. That side right there is going to be your hypotenuse. Okay. So we're going to find the length of the hypotenuse in the triangle shown here. I know that's going to be C. Short side's A. The medium length side is B, so that's how I'm going to set it up. Okay. I'm just going to use the Pythagorean theorem right here. A is going to go in, or 6 is going to go in for A, so it's going to be 6 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared, right? C squared remains a variable because I don't know it yet, and I'm trying to find it. Okay. Let me grab two things. Sorry. Calculator and ruler. Ruler for a different problem, but calculator for this problem. Of course, I'm going to be using the Desmos Scientific Calculator because it's the best calculator for free that you can get. Okay, 6 squared. Well, I know that's 36. Okay, and just if you struggle with that kind of thing, right there, two ways you can do this. You can say 6 squared. Okay, or you can say 6 times 6. Okay, just realize that it is not 6 times 2, 12. Okay, that is not the answer. Okay, so two ways to do it, right? 6 squared just means 6 times 6. It's basically finding the area of a square with a side length of 6, right? So right there, 9 times 9 I know is 81. You would find that the same way. At this point, I'm going to add these two together. Again, just use the calculator. Okay, 36 plus 81 gets you to 117. Okay, now you might be tempted to be done at this point, but realize that 117 for this length doesn't make sense with these sides being 6 and 9. Okay, it's just way too big. So what you have to do is you have to square root here and here, and that's going to get rid of the square, the little 2, and it's going to leave your C value all alone, and then you're going to square root 117, and we're going to get 10.8 if we round to the nearest tenth. So 10.8 inches. Make it obvious that that is your answer by circling it or boxing it. And there we go. Okay, determine the distance between points J and K in the diagram below, round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so I'm just going to use the grid to make a triangle. Okay, so we got our right triangle right here. Hypotenuse is right here, so that's our C value. Okay, now I'm just going to count for our A and B sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my value for, oh man, if I could actually write correctly, that's our value for A. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's our value for B. Again, you could flip-flop these if you wanted to, and you could flip-flop the A and the B, but this side always has to be C. So when I put it into the Pythagorean theorem, okay, it's going to be 6 squared plus 7 squared equals C squared. Well, I already know that 6 squared is 36, so I don't have to do that math again. 7 times 7 is 49, not 14. Okay, and then again, just add these together, right? Again, use the calculator, right? 36 plus 49 gets you to 85. Okay, and then I'm going to square root both sides, and that leaves me with C equals the square root of 85, which is 9.2 when we round to the nearest tenth. 9.2 units, you'll say, because I don't have any units on here, so I don't have inches or meters or whatever. I was going to say something. Oh yeah, you'll notice that on this one I had the C squared on the left. I flip flopped it at this point, but I didn't flip flop it here. The reason you can do that is because it doesn't matter, right? You can have the C value on the right and the number on the left, or the C value on the left and the number on the right. Doesn't matter for purposes of the math. It's not going to change anything. But when you write your answers, you should probably put it in this format where it's C equals 9.2 rather than 9.2 units equals C. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Similar here, right? We're gonna Similar in that we're using the Pythagorean theorem, but we have 3 numbers instead of 2 numbers, like in the previous 2, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to test to see if this is a right triangle or not. So this is my short side, so that'll be A, that'll be B, that'll be C. So it's going to be 3 squared plus 7 squared equals 8 squared. I know 3 squared is 9. I know 49. Sorry, 7 squared is 49. I already did that. And I know 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, again, you can do that with the calculator. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add these two together to see if it equals that 64. It does not equal 64. So what that means is that this is not a right triangle. Oh, I should said, is this a right triangle rather than is this correct? Okay. So we'll say, is this, no, we'll say this is not a right triangle. Okay. Because that's the please explain part. And I'm going to let you do that. How would you explain why that's not a right triangle? Please show your work to prove your point. That's your work right there. Okay. We're going to do the same thing here. 3 squared, that's A, B, C. So 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. 3 squared is 9, 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25. Add those two together, we get 25 is equal to 25. So that's your work right there. Okay. Is this correct? Again, this should probably say, is this a right triangle? And you would say, yes, it is. Yes, it's a right triangle. Because, I did B/C right here. It just means because that's kind of my shorthand for it. But again, I'm going to let you explain that one. Okay. We are going to solve this. I bring my x's to the left side. Okay. It cancels out right here. The inverse of being positive is negative, or the opposite of being positive is negative. So I subtract here and I subtract here. -5 minus 3 gets me to -8. And if you're like, what? That's -2 or whatever, right? Just realize that. Use your calculator, right? -3 minus 5. You go left on the number line rather than right, okay? That gets you -8x, minus 7 equals 9. I've got this -7. The inverse or opposite of that is addition. So I get 16 right here. I'm going to divide by -8 because that's the opposite of the multiplication that's happening between that -8 and the x. Cancel out to get to 1. 1x is the same as x. 16 divided by 8 is 2. Since that's a -8, it's a -2. Okay. Simplify this exponential expression. Use only positive exponents. So when I'm multiplying like this, it basically simplifies to 3 plus -9. You'll add the exponents. That right there, I can just put this in the calculator, right? 3 plus -9 gets us to -6. So that becomes 7 to the power of -6. However, we only want positive exponents. So what happens here, that's a fraction. I bring it down to the bottom, and I change that negative to a positive. So our final answer is 1 over 7 to the power of 6. There you go. If I'm moving too fast, this is, of course, YouTube, or should be YouTube. Hopefully it uploads. So you can just slow it down. Right? Brian is painting his house. There's a ladder leaning against the wall. The top of the ladder is 15 feet from the ground, and the base of the ladder is 6 feet from the wall. 6 feet from the wall. Please draw a picture, round to the nearest whole number. That's my wall. That's the ground. This is my ladder. The ladder looks unsafe. The top of the ladder here is 15 feet from the ground. Ground is here, so 15 feet right here. Okay. The base of the ladder here is 6 feet from the wall. Okay, so that's my A, that's my B. I'm looking for the C. Okay. The top of the ladder. You know what I forgot to hear? What I forgot to add here? I forgot to add what is the length of the ladder? Because you would need the actual question for that, right? Not bad. Sorry, guys. Okay, so it's going to be 6 squared plus 15 squared equals c squared. 36. We've already done the math for that, so I don't need to. I know that 15 squared is 225, right? But again, if you're like, how does he get those numbers? 15 squared is the same thing as 15 times 15. Okay. Okay, I'm going to add those together. 36 plus 225 gets me to 261. Did you see that? Or does my finger cover it? 261. I'm going to flip that around. Again, it doesn't matter. You could reverse it. I square root on both sides, lets my c be all by itself, and then I'm going to square root 261 to get to 16.1. What is it asking for actually? Round to the nearest whole number. It would technically be 16.2 if I were rounding to the nearest tenth, but whole number, so it's going to be 16. So 16 feet right there. If you're like, gosh, I need to use my Apple calculator, right? Just realize that to access the full capacity of your calculator, you need to flip it to the side, right? So to do that, like 15 squared here, you would say 15, and then you would hit this button, the little x squared, gets you to 225, right? And then if you want to take that 261 and then square root it, it's that button right there. So 16, same thing. Okay. All right, but of course, you shouldn't be using the iPhone calculator because it sucks. Okay. Okay. Explain how you would find the slope of the line between points J and L. I don't know. I would probably say something like use rise over run to find rise over run. It's one up and then 1, 2, 3, 4 over, right? To find m equals 1/4 or slope equals 1/4, right? Because it's the rise over the run fractionally. Okay. M and slope are the same thing. I'm explaining how you'd find the slope of the line between points M and O. Same thing, right? So you'd be like, I don't know, use rise over run. You could go, well, I counted up and then I counted right to find m equals or slope equals, let's see, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to find m equals 2/8 or slope equals 2/8. You'll notice how I'm organizing my answers, right? I have bullet points. I'm just bullet pointing my answers right there. What do you notice about the slopes? Well, I noticed that they're equivalent fractions, right? The slopes are equivalent fractions. Okay. You would take that 2/8, divide by 2 on the top and bottom, and you get to 1/4. And what is the equation of the line? Well, we get our slope is 1/4. We already know that. Our b value is where the line crosses the y-axis right there. It happens to be 3, right? And our formula is that y equals mx plus b right there. We just take that 1/4, plug it in, and that 3 and plug it in. So it becomes y equals 1/4 x plus 3. There you go. Two sides of a right triangle are given. Determine the length of the third side. This is my short side. I'm going to call it A. Medium length side is B. Long side is C. Okay, again, if you're like, how did he do that? How do you know the long side is C? My right angle is right here. I draw an arrow away from it. That's always the long side. That's always the hypotenuse. Okay. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Right? You should have that burned into your brain at this point. It's going to be 6 squared plus, I'm going to actually change that to a capital B because my 6s tend to look like B's, right? Square root of 61 squared. Okay, and this is where it gets a little weird compared to previous problems, right? The square root of 61 squared. What happens here is those just cancel out, okay? If I were to take this and put it into a calculator, right, like this, I get, that's 7.1. You might be tempted to think that's your answer, but I'm looking for this side, not the length of that side. So when we square this, I'll just pop that right there, and it should bring us back down to 61, right? The square root and the square cancel each other out to 61. Now this is a positive 36. I got to bring it to the other side, so I use the opposite or inverse of being positive. It's negative, and I'm going to say 61 minus 36 gets us to 25. Interesting. What did I do here? I called this B but I should have actually done B there and A. My bad. Okay, because I did A, so that's 6 squared is A. So, sorry. We're going to square it here, and I get a B value of 5 inches for that side right there. There you go. Okay. Solve this graphically. I'm going to start with my y-intercept at -7. So down here I put a dot, and then my slope is 3/1. It's positive, so I go up 3 and right 1. So let me focus that a little bit. 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3, right 1. 1, 2, 3, right 1. And that's as far as I can go. You'll notice technically I only need 2 points to draw a line, but the more points you have, the straighter your line is going to be. And I'm going to label this as 3x minus 7. Okay. And the other one, I start at +3, and then I go down 1 and right 3. So down 1, right 3. Oh, look at that. That's where they cross. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. Because again, if we're doing a system of equations to find the solution, gosh, this is awkward. Can we see that? Barely? Yeah, okay. Those are terrible arrows. I'm sorry. This is y equals -1/3 x plus 3. They cross right here. So the solution is going to be over 3 and up 2. Look at that. So perfect, except for those terrible arrowheads. Sorry, guys. I know that's disappointing. Okay, lawn car company charges an hourly rate and a fixed fee as shown in the table. Let me probably just do that. Sorry. How much does the lawn care company charge per hour? Well, I want to find the difference here. So I can actually just use my calculator to do that. I'll say 670 minus 520. I get 150. Okay, cool. I'm adding 150 as I go down, but I'm subtracting to find the answer. 520 minus 370. Yeah, look at whoa, 150 as well. Huh, interesting. Okay. So what this means is that I'm getting the same answer, is that it is just a linear equation, okay, or a linear relationship, meaning if you were to graph it, it would form a line, okay? So you might be tempted to think, oh, 150, I'm done. However, these are going up by 3s. So what this actually means is that they make $150 per 3 hours, okay? So what you got to do is you got to take that 150 and divide by 3. That gets you to $50. So the lawn care company charges $50 per hour. Cool. Joaquin is 43 inches tall. He grows at a rate of approximately 0.5 inches per month. Write the linear equation that models the relationship between the number of months that have passed x and the height of Joaquin in inches y. Remember, y equals mx plus b. That's the equation we're looking for. So I know that the slope is how much it changes, the rate of change. That's that 0.5. And I know that b value, my y-intercept, is going to be the starting point, or in this case, the starting height. Okay, so y-intercept or starting height, starting point. Okay, and this is the slope or the rate of growth. Okay, I know my equation is y equals mx plus b. We did a very similar one a little bit earlier in the review. I take that 0.5 and I plug it in for the m value. And I take that 43 and I plug it in for the b value. And that's that, folks. Goodbye.